but let's have a little background about what is NDE. Although we have covered this NDE in the first episode, but
Yes.
I think before we go into depth of NDE, we should have a little bit background for the viewers what NDE is, and then uh, how does the knowledge of NDE influences our sense of purpose in life?
Okay. So let's go into this subject. Near-death experience is experienced by people who die for a short time, either because of heart attack or cerebral seizure. So, as a result, during those 5 or 10 minutes when the ECG and EEG are both flat, the person is considered clinically dead. At that time, after they are resuscitated, during that short time, they experience some extraordinary levels of consciousness far beyond the concepts of the conventional mind. And so when they share those things with us, we get a sort of rejuvenated feeling about our living on this planet because we step out of the conventional mind at least for a short time. And then what happens is their messages, the primary message is that there is really no death to the essence of ourselves, the soul is usually called. The death is only to the body, and the soul just moves from one form to another and experiences some proximity to divinity in the form of a bright light and abundant love coming from that light, the likes of which we don't experience during our stay on the earth. So, with that understanding, we feel that we have more to know about ourselves from what the NDE people say, and then it gives us some meaning and purpose to living because we look at life from beyond the ego. Usually, the conventional mind looks at everything in the form of I, me, and the mine. My country, my religion, my language kind of identification is very strong, and people act from that identification. So there is clash, argument, conflict, and war. But during the NDE, they experience a state of consciousness in which the ego is absent. So there is only understanding from the essence of ourselves, which may be called the true self. And whatever they say helps us look at life with renewed interest away from the usual regret, anger, fear, and such feelings of the conventional mind. So we find that everyday life changes from this impact of I, me, and the mind to something wider, an awareness that's much wider than that of the ego. And then we find that every day becomes an important day in life. That's what makes it truly live. J. Krishnamurti was asked by some people, what is the purpose of life? And he just laughed and said, the purpose of life is to live. And that living is denied because we approach everything through the ego. And once we step out of it, life is beautiful. Our relationships change, and the self importance begins to water down. So we look at everybody with some sacredness, with some rejuvenated feeling for them. We look at them as their souls instead of the ego based image we have about themselves. So that is why we find after we listen to the NDE people, we are able to look at life from a wider perspective away from the ego's limited awareness. So that is the primary thing. And we begin to understand that there is more to life than we knew through the ego, and we become very thrilled, and also we begin to love life for whatever it brings and not take sort of objections to some happenings. Then that's what makes it live truly. So the purpose of life is to live and also experience everything fully instead of blocking some things and getting attracted or attached to some other things. That thing stops.